Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Today, here in the bottom right, spawning as the blue Zerg player playing for Team DPG. It's going to be a Rogue. And in the top left, spawning as the red Terran player, it's going to be Byun. What is this? Rogue opening up with a 12 pool. Okay, that is something that... Oh wait, this is gonna be the 12 pool Roachallin, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen the 12 pool just regular links. For a second I panicked and I was like, wait a second. Byun is playing Terran, right? And yeah, of course Byun is playing Terran. This is a really cool build out of Rogue. I love this. This is probably the cheesiest and the most all-in build that there is. I've seen Bly do this a crap ton. Double gas 12 pool. So you go into a roach horn and then you can walk across the map with a bunch of ravagers. You just keep sending more roaches across the map, which will morph into ravagers. You try clearing both of these depots. And I think this is specifically very good against Byun for a simple reason. Byun never scouts. And on top of that, he never opens up with the Reaper. So not only will he not know about the fact that there's no hatchery, he will also not know about the fact that there's units moving across the map. He won't see it with his Reaper because he's going to open up with a Marine first and he won't scout. This is so good for Rogue. What a brilliant little play. Here we see... Oh my god. Is he actually going to scout? He's going to open with Reactor first into a scout. I really have hardly ever seen Byun scout in this matchup. He just doesn't do it, but apparently his spider senses were tingling. His internal map hacks said, hey, wait a second, Byun, something is up, and he's actually gonna scout across the map with an SCV. Huge deal here. He's opening up with a with a reactor first, which means he's going to have the maximum amount of units possible. I think the follow-up here is going to be a factory. Looks like a high ground factory. Two Ravagers are being morphed immediately here. This roach is gonna make its way straight across the map. SCV does manage to get home. Bunker on the high ground is being constructed here. I think 4 Marines will be able to pop out before these Ravagers and Roaches make their way across the map. What's the follow-up going to be here for Rogue is the question. Is it just going to be more Roaches? No, it's going to get another drone. So it's a triple Roach rush. I've really only seen this with a full all-in. I didn't know you could go into a macro game from here. The 12 pool Roach all-in into a hatchery. Yeah, I'm completely unaware of this build, I'll be honest. Second bunker is being constructed here on the high ground. Please notice that there's no command center here yet, so this is really cool. And I'm wondering if Rogue is doing this variation because he did get scouted. And if he hadn't gotten scouted, whether he would have perhaps played something else. So 6 Marines... Wait, did he just cancel 2 Marines? I think he just canceled 2 Marines because he didn't have the money for the Cyclone otherwise. Oh no, he would have been supply block. Nice little play there out of Byun. Realizing that in order to start the Cyclone, he needed to cancel those 2 Marines that were almost full. This barracks is taking a crap ton of damage. There's 4 Ravagers here right now. This hatchery is being built. As long as this barrack stays alive, I actually kind of like this position for Byun. He's still up 6, 7, 8 workers at this point. Cyclone is about to pop, and the moment this Cyclone pops, we know what's going to happen, because we know that this Overlord is going to get pushed back, which means that the high ground is going to disappear here, and that is probably the biggest thing that can happen here. Cyclone will not quite be capable of getting the Overlord, but there's also no more high ground vision, which means that this Cyclone now basically can do whatever the heck it wants. I am not entirely sure who gets out ahead here, but I'd assume that it would be Byun. He's up 7 workers. His tech is fabulous. He has a crap ton of gas in the bank, which means he can transition into a pretty quick starport here. He's gonna scout with his barracks to see what's going on. He's gonna catch one of these Ravagers. Need to be careful though. Control not the greatest here out of the Korean Terran player. Some more drones are being produced. A tank is on the way, so we still see some safety measures here. So now the starport also gets thrown down. 2 bunkers. The barracks goes back home to create a reactor, and yeah, I'm wondering what the 2 follow-ups are going to be here. We see speed coming out, single drone mining gas on the side of Rogue. On the other hand, we have a reactor on the barracks. Starport is probably going to swap with this tech lab here and go into Banshees, I would assume. With the amount of gas that he has, even something like a battle cruiser is a real possibility. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but it is a possibility. I haven't really ever seen Byun play BCs though. He's not a BC player. Tech lab on the star, on the factory as well. Okay, it's going to be Cloak Banshee. Yeah, you can salvage these bunkers at this point, it feels like. Either start a third command center or barracks 2 and 3. It's looking to go into a marine tank Banshee push, from what I can see. So it's kind of what it smells like. Of course, sometimes it isn't easy to follow the smell of Byun's plans, because he's a bit of a wild player. Byun has a lot of experience though with non-Hellion openers. He loves opening up with just big marine counts, moving on the map. We've seen him play 3 racks, we've seen him play things like Mine Drop, and even like this type of tank opener isn't completely uncommon. If you would give this situation to a more standard Terran, perhaps like Bunny or Clem, they'd feel a lot less comfortable than someone like Byun does in this exact situation. 3rd CC is going to go down on the low ground here as a 3rd base hasn't even started yet for Rogue, who's actually playing 2 base roach speed. So 12 pool Ravager, the 12 pool versus Terran, into a Ravager push, into speed for Zerglings, to then go into Glial Reconstitution here on 2 bases. It is a very interesting setup, I have to admit. It all feels planned though. Out of both players, I do understand that Byun is most likely ahead, but it feels like Rogue's follow-up is just so tight. Like he knows exactly what to do. He's the one that wanted to be in this scenario, and he prepared all of the different ways that this scenario could go, you know? He had all the what-ifs answered. Like, what if I do get scouted and he plays reactor first? What if he goes into Banshee from there? I mean, the Spore was ready in a perfect position as well. The Spore in the main base. So it feels like he's really well prepared and well set up to go into this game. That doesn't mean he's ahead, but it means that he's the one that's mentally in control. He's the one that knows what's going on. And sometimes just knowing what position you're in is more important than actually being ahead. This might just be one of those cases, because we see Byun being very careful, very safe, not really getting any major move outs, keeping the Banshees at home as well. And Byun just is kind of unaware of what's going on here. Saw the fact that this gas wasn't taken, so Mutas is going to be less likely. Of course, not completely excluded here. Byun also wildly unaware the fact that there is a 3rd base here. Roach production has started, and it feels like Rogue might just be going into one of his classic... What is this Stimpack research doing? Oh! 0.1 seconds. On the timer, it's already done. 100 out of 100. I was like, oh, I think my overlay is bugged, but it's actually just a... contamination out of an overseer. Well, either it went home or it died somewhere on this side of the map. I didn't quite catch that. Byun's just chilling at home right now. 2 Banshees once again gonna move across the map as Rogue is preparing for that push out. I can only assume 4th base is late. Spore is trying to set up in position. There's 6 queens total, and only one of them is in position over here. Oh, the Banshee almost fell, but not quite. This queen could probably something to say about that. Might have something to say about that. Not going to be the case. There are lots of tanks being built on the side of Byun, who's just setting up defensively. Knows that he's most likely being roach rushed. And doesn't really want to take any risks. Double bunkers going up here. And we'll have an infestation pit as well. I really did believe it was going to be a 1-1 timing. But seeing this infestation pit and this Hydra then, this can only mean one thing. And that is that we're going into a classic cave bob setup. It's the safest of build orders getting into lurkers. Well, safest. The most, well, I'd call it brain dead, I guess. You'd have to think the least to still get to the good units. In this case, going to be the lurkers. Nidus network. Oh, Rogue, what are we doing here? This is a setup. This really feels like Rogue. This is a very Rogue game. Out of all the Korean Zergs and their quirky plays and their quirky things that they do, I think Rogue is the goofiest Zerg, who has these weird setups that always end up working out for him. You know, he's the type of guy that falls into a manhole, and at the bottom of the manhole he finds a bucket of gold. I feel like that's a rogue in a nutshell. Sometimes he even jumps straight into that manhole, voluntarily. He's gonna take out a couple of depots. And he's spreading a crap ton of creep. You have to say it. This creep spread is fabulous. Good scan here out of Byun, who wants to know what his situation is like, and now knows, wait a second, 8 gas is being taken. This is fake. I'm gonna start moving a little bit more aggressively here with these Marines. I'm looking for something. Nidus is being built up here on the high ground. I have no clue what this is for. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. But Rogue has a plan, and if Rogue has a plan, he's a very scary player to play against. Lurker Den's about to finish up. Macro Hedge going down in the main base. Nidus tries to go up in the main, but these... Hello? Byun? There we go. Yeah, damage output from these Marines is just going to be a bit too much. I love this move out of Byun. It's going to kind of base trade, force his opponent's army back. It's going to be capable of getting a couple of drones here. Took out one of these queens already as well. Spore is going to fall. Quick response out of Rogue is going to save this base. Actually, doesn't end up losing too many workers there. 2-2 on the way as well, right? Ooh, I think Byun's forgetting 2-2. Does he have an armory yet? He has an armory, but he forgot about 2-2. This is not intentional. Guaranteed, this is not intentional. That's a huge deal here. We have Vipers on the way already. This maxed push is supposed to be with 2-2, but Byun completely forgot it. Oi, 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 oi. Byun. What an error of judgment here. Marines going... Or, well, not error of judgment, just an error. Fort base now getting taken for the Terran player. And for Shopify Rebellion. Gets scouted by Rogue. Byun wants to just take out as many creep tumors as he can. Attempts to drop into the main base. Doesn't quite work. There's still Marines in position here. I feel like Rogue almost had vision on these Marines, but not quite. Nidus actually is going to pop as Byun just isn't responding. That's 14 seconds of not realizing there's a Nidus in your main base. If the lurkers had popped out there, that could have been potentially dangerous. And that would have been honestly kind of embarrassing here. Luckily that didn't happen, as the lurkers didn't believe anymore. Both of these medevacs are going to stay alive. 4 HP on one, 30 HP on the other. Vipers probably wanting to jump back into action to actually take out these medevacs. Would be a lot of supply to get for free. But instead, you see Rogue is actually letting his opponent escape here. Could have just parked 1 or 2 Hydras and eventually shown up. Now we have a Nidus coming up here. We still have that high ground Nidus as well. Let's take a look how blind Byun truly is. He barely sees anything. He sees a bunch of roaches. Lurkers are here on the high ground. It's 4 of them. And that's really the entire lurker count that there is. It's not a whole lot of lurkers. Now the way that Byun likes to play these situations, by the way, is with a very high tank count and then going into a massive amount of ghost as well. Kind of just running around with bio ghost while his tanks defend majority of his bases. We'll see if that's going to be sufficient against Rogue's lurker play as well, who's now taking a 5th base. It's hard to believe that this base started off with a 12 Ravager rush. There come a couple of... fills? What? He filled all of his abducts there. Will be capable of taking out this medevac at least. That's nice. Rogue is kind of setting up like a semi-container. And once you have the vision on all these towers, it can become really difficult to take a base like this. Even a base like this. You need to slowly inch your way forward as a Terran on this map. It can be tricky. Saw a really cool game between Zero and Maru that I believe I also casted on this map, where Maru was just inching forward with planetary crawls and tanks and liberators and ghosts. It feels like that the plan of Byun here is very similar. Slowly but surely trying to push forward towards these top bases, towards that bottom base, which can be defended from the high ground here. That's what Maru showed me that game. They put a couple of tanks up there and then you just drop down here. This base can never be taken by a Zerg, or should never be capable of being taken. In the end, I do believe that Zero ended up winning that game. It's a very slick play, but it was more a Baneling focused game. We actually see perhaps something like that coming out of Rogue here. Did the research centrifugal hooks, is getting tuttling claws as well. He's a very creative Zerg that finds ways to use units that other Zergs just don't. I don't think he's the cleanest late game controller. Like he's not the guy that you look in and go, if you want to play very solid one unit comp like late game, this is the guy you pay attention to. But if you're looking at a guy to confuse your opponent with constant tech switches and with wild rotations, aggressive late game, I think Rogue is fantastic. He's going to be losing a couple of these Ravagers though to these Ghost Snipes. Loses a Lurker there as well. These Lurkers now going to be moving back. Looks like Byun's getting ready to take this topside 5th base. And I think this is something that the Rogue sees as an opportunity, but also a threat at the same time, right? He needs to do something about this, but at the same time, can he do something about that? And if he can't, how big of a threat is that? How big is the risk here for him? Does he need to do this? Is the question. I think the answer might be yes. I think he needs to play around this 5th base. Like I mentioned, this bottom base can be very hard to mine from as a Zerg player. This base is safe, but his left side base, I mean, he just needs to get mining from there as quick as possible. Because, yeah, if he doesn't get that base up and he doesn't take away minerals from his opponents, eventually he's just going to end up losing. That's just how this matchup works. Okay, so right now Rogue kind of tricked his opponent. He sees, hey, everything's over there. There's no sensor tower here on the bottom side. Ghosts are going to be in position though. Oh, Lurkers taking out 3-4 Ghosts immediately. 2 more are going to be going down well. They're trying to snipe. I think 4 Lurkers died as well at the same time. Not the greatest trade here for Rogue. Oh, Cloak Ghost dealing a lot of damage. Good shots out of Byun. Still has a decent sized bio army here as well. That could start working on the top base. Is exactly what he's going to be doing. Oh. Scans forward, sees that there's a single Lurker and 2 spines there. Links are also moving in right now. No upgrades on these links yet though. +1 on the way, no Adrenal. Bottom side base. Is it being mined yet? No, it's not. 92 workers on the map for Rogue. I thought that Rogue was going to play lower drone count, but he's actually going to try to get these resources. And he should be getting those ASAP. You should even transfer units or workers away from other bases to immediately start mining the bases that are going to be most vulnerable, obviously. That is a basic theory. Wait, did he go into Swarm Host? Oh, he accidentally built 1 Swarm Host. After I saw Dark play Swarm Host against, I believe it was Bunny actually, I've been kind of dying to see them back in action in the late game. It looked strong and weak at the same time. Like, there were moments where I thought, oh man, if he gets like 2 more waves in, like he might actually be capable of breaking. But then hold that thought as we have a big surround on a lot of these ghosts. And a bunch of them are actually going to end up falling. As my camera control has been mediocre. But yeah, sometimes I thought that these swarm hosts were really powerful. And at other times I thought, well, this isn't quite it. If you saw another wave like kill a Hellbat and a turret or something like that. It's like, well, that was 29 swarm hosts. Wasn't quite worth it. Now I have a Broodlord comp coming in. As more links are being constructed here. It feels like Rogue actually does want to go into that ultra late game. He's losing a lot of Hydras to snipe. He's going to continue losing Hydras to snipe. He's going to also lose 2 more Lurkers here. These snipes on the Lurkers will once again take care of it. Marine Marauder moving towards the bottom left side as well. Is it Thor? What? Oh, the Thor transition for the Broodlords. That is very cool. I really do like that. So there's 2 factories pumping Thors at this point rather than pumping tanks. We have a bunch of command centers that are not doing anything. Bottom left side base got taken out as well. It's so difficult to defend these bases when you have 88 supply in workers. Your army just isn't going to be big enough to truly threaten. You now have a spore stalemate type situation. Wouldn't surprise me if Byun gets a couple of nukes out here. Starts nuking his opponent. Oh! Big Fungals takes out 2-3 ghosts there in the end. And also gets 2 tanks for practically free. Broodlord, of course, very, very powerful in these situations. Every time a Broodlord attacks or a Broodling attacks one of these ghosts, Snipe does end up getting cancels, which is why these Thors are so helpful to have around. So useful at targeting down Broodlords. So we see only +1 actually as an upgrade there. Oh, +2 just finished, as I said that. Love to see it. Comes a push forward. This is not a huge army though. Rogue needs to get more units here. It's gonna end up losing 3 Broodlords. There's 3 more Broodlords on the way. Good blinding clouds. We have Hydras moving forward as well as another snipe gets cancelled. So far, units lost. Oh my god, that's big. Hugely in favor of Byun. Just massively in favor of Byun. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily winning this game. If he takes one bad fight, allows Rogue to push through, that could be game right there. Byun also has a lot of workers. And even though he is at, what is it? 10 orbital commands. Good lord. He still has a lot of workers. I wouldn't mind if he throws a couple away. Then again... No, actually, yeah, he really should get rid of a couple of workers. Even if it's just 15 workers. It would really boost his army a lot. Because at this point, supply is probably the most useful resource you can have. I like that these tanks are on the low ground rather than on the high ground. Making themselves a lot more vulnerable to this type of stuff. I'm not quite sure why you would do that, but... Tanks are going to be dying here. Broodlords pushing forward. They're going to take a couple of snipes to the head. Good EMPs as well. As all of these infestors are losing their energy right now. Snipes trying to target them down. Big fungals hitting though. Big fungals hitting. And all of these ghosts are getting very low. There's no overseer with this army. So spores need to provide detection. What is the current Broodlord count? It is 8. 7 more on the way. So we're going up to 15. Plus 2 flyer attacks as well. And finally that adrenal glands is on the way. But time is running out here for Rogue. Who's down... 10k in units lost, I think. Yeah, 10k. And he's not going to be mining 10k. He didn't mine 10k from this base. He mined about 250 minerals from that base. So he didn't even get back the hatchery that he created for it. Now there's a lot of Broodlords here. And these fights can be quite scary. 4 Broodlords have already gone down since last time I checked. A couple of ghosts also are falling though. These Broodlords are trying to get as much damage. Fungals, fungals, fungals. Can we get more fungals? Do I have one? Yes. Can finish them though. There is a Neural as well, but he isn't Neuraling any of these Thors, which is a surprise. Now are we gonna get a Neural? No, another Fungal doesn't hit before the liftoff though. Broodlord count still at 9. 8 more Corruptors on the way. 2 more Broodlords on the way as well. Is there any Queens here? No, but there's still a lot of Infestors. Neurals are available. Infestors are available for these Fungals as well. We have a double lip getting Fungaled here. A couple of Ghosts trying to snipe once again. A lot of these Ghosts are going to get pushed back. These trades haven't necessarily been great though for Rogue. He's just losing more than he's killing. Ghost count still at 12. Infestors are all empty and Byun's actually going to be capable of pushing this back. And if he pushes this back, what's there left for Rogue? I think truly nothing at this point. And I'm a little bit surprised that at not a single point during this entire game, Rogue decided to get rid of some of his workers. Either you get very high work count and you need to mine from your opponent's base, but on a map like this that can be so difficult, and in that case I'd say, well, just lower your worker count and go into something else. But seems like that's not going to quite be it. Surprises me. It really does. Lynx are going to be moving forward and take out some of these Hellbats. Or at least attempt to take out some of these Hellbats. What is this? It's Macfield. Alright. Getting Macfield Accelerator. This has to be a misclick. I feel like it's just clicking the icons at this point, you know? It's like, oh, I like this one. There's rockets on it. Very nice. There's absolutely no use. Okay, a couple of these drones are now being sacrificed. I feel like that's too late. He's gonna get 12 Banelings with this army and he wants to win a big fight. Moving in. Can we get a couple of Fungals? Maybe a Neural or two could help here. Not gonna get the Neurals. Huge EMPs are hitting. Here's one Neural. Look at that Thor go, man. I'm telling you, Neurals are the future, but so are the Snipes. And these Snipes are gonna be going down a lot of these Hydras. Thor is gonna get taken out. We have more Fungals available. We have, I think, 2, 3 Fungals. Maybe even a Neural on one of these Infestors, but yeah, the Broodlord count is non-existent. There's 10 Corruptors, which are going to be useless. As, well, Corruptors don't really do anything against this army. There's 2 Liberators, that's it. There's actually no more Medevacs as well. That's an issue. Because often these ghosts barely manage to stay alive, and then healing them up with a Medevac can be a very big deal. Wouldn't surprise me if we're gonna get one more big fight, and then, I mean, Rogue needs to do it here. There's 6 lurkers in production. They're not in this fight. Bangling's connecting with a lot of these tanks. That's not great for Rogue because that's so cost inefficient. There's 14 ghosts still left. There is 172 supply on the side of Byun. Command center gets taken out, but I am not so sure about this. I mean, it was an okay fight. As long as Byun doesn't die, he will win this game, and Rogue just doesn't have the staying power here with this fight. He can't reinforce this position. He can't even keep this position, and the ghost count is just a little bit too large. The money in the bank for Byun is too much as well. I'm struggling to see how this is going to end up working out for Rogue. Rogue goes in. Corruptors, Infestors trying to deal damage. That single lurker actually doing a whole lot here, but big EMP hits and everything dies. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're winning the game, but Rogue's not winning the game, so it's not quite as awesome for him here. Banelings try to connect. GG gets called as Byun, who played a very passive, patient, and passionless game, does end up winning this game against Rogue on Curious Minds. That's going to be it for me today. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll see you all next time for a new video on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and bye bye.